Hi everyone, this is R.G. Morse, author of Man Up in 10 Lessons. And today I'd just like to take a couple of minutes to talk with you about a man in the news, especially if you happen to be an American. And I am talking about, of course, or at least thinking of, the one, the only, Mitt Romney, poised to become the candidate for president from the Republican Party. And very specifically, I want to talk about Mr. Romney in the context of a couple of things that I believe are rather important for any man to actually man up in the 21st century, one of them being truth, and the other being a form of courage. I want to really zero in, though, in this brief chat on the subject of truth. I have had the privilege of traveling widely during my life and have lived in many countries, including two of the countries that I think probably Mr. Romney had in mind when recently in Florida he accused President Obama of dragging the United States into the abyss of democratic socialism. Just like those scary European countries like Germany and France, and even worse, a country that I happen to have lived in for several years, Sweden. I've also lived in a similarly scary, red-drenched socialist cesspool, Canada, which happens to be where I'm speaking to you from today, as a matter of fact. Well, I'm here to tell you that Mr. Romney is either an idiot or a liar or perhaps both, which would be a very unhappy combination in any nation's leader, let alone the greatest nation in the history of humankind. Let me quickly explain what I mean. Having lived in these countries myself, I can assure you that neither Germany, nor France, nor Sweden, nor certainly the country I'm talking to you from today, the true North, strong and free, the great white North, Canada, are what you would call socialist countries. Let me put it to you this way. Germany, currently, as I'm speaking to you in February of 2012, enjoys an unemployment rate of right around 7%. Most Americans would think they died and gone to heaven to have an economy that was creating jobs at a rate that allowed only 7% of the workforce to be unemployed. I can assure you that as you move through Germany, or even a country like Sweden, which has an even bigger, badder socialist rep in the United States than does Germany, you're going to see nothing but the activities that you would expect from any advanced capitalist country. The same is true in Canada. In fact, up here, we have all the same aspects of capitalism that most of you who are watching this today down in the States enjoy as well. Signage all over the place, banks doing their thing, people buying and selling stuff on television, on the street. It's all there in spades up here. The only difference that I can discern between the way those countries operate and the kind of America that Mitt seems to be advocating is that there's a dollop of humanistic, compassionate common sense behind the capitalism at play in countries like Germany, France, Sweden, and Canada. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with being successful. And trust me, none of the policies of any of the governments in any of those other European countries or here in Canada get in the way of people who are clever, bright, ambitious, hardworking, lucky, and want to make a buck. There are plenty of millionaires and billionaires in all of these countries, plenty of examples of very successful businesses. You may have heard of a couple of them like Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BlackBerry, the Canadian banks. The list goes on and on and on, the entire province of Alberta. The point, though, is that in all of these countries, there is a political compact across party bounds with some friction occasionally. But by and large, there's a political compact in all of these countries that states that it's not a bad idea, if you want to live in a reasonably civilized place, to have some kind of system in place that allows those who need a hand to get a hand, so they can reach down and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and have an opportunity to compete, have an opportunity to lead a reasonably happy life. That doesn't mean that the people who are making lots of money are saddled to the extent that they can't be aggressive, they can't be entrepreneurial, they can't be successful. What it means is that those people who are successful don't have to worry about what route they're going to take at work for fear that somebody's going to key their BMW. It means that people who are wealthy in these countries don't have to go around all day feeling guilty. It means that they don't necessarily have to be mindful of living in a gated community or they're in trouble. I mean, what kind of life is that anyway? So I would simply say this to those of you who are Americans and watching this, and especially those of you out there who happen to be guys. Smarten up, man. Take a moment to learn something that's actually objective about the rest of the world before you simply leap onto a bandwagon, a jingoistic, idiotic, stupid, ill-informed bandwagon like the one that Mitt Romney is pulling around when he tries to frighten you into believing that your current president, who is far from a socialist, by the way, is trying to drag you into the burning hell of democratic socialism, the same one suffered by the poor masses of Germany, France, Sweden, and Canada. Get real, get a grip, look around, make up your own minds, and Mitt, my advice to you is man up. This is R.G. Morse, author of Man Up in 10 Lessons. Back again soon. Keep it real.